Flex Lewis here, straight out of the lair. All right, guys, episode 9, Straight Outta The Lair. We are honored today to have Miloš, the Mind Sarcev.
Yeah. All right. I like the introduction.
Pleasure to have you. Pleasure to have you,
Finally, my man. You know, it's been 20 years pretty much, right?
Yeah.
You know, so for many people that don't know our history, I know you since early 2000 when you were guest posing at that British Grand Prix.
That's true.
Yeah, this is the first interaction. And the second time when you came to my gym and did the photo shoot, right? And even Kristen asked me to assist and jump on the leg press because there was not enough weight for this kid. You know, seriously, that's how it all went. You know, yeah. So yeah, I'm delighted 20 years later to understand you have a beautiful wife, family, successful business, and really nothing is stopping you. So I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Well, we do have a lot of history.
Yes.
And I want to touch on that later on.
Yes.
But I want to take it right back to the beginning. Born and raised. Go from the very beginning.
For myself, okay, I spoke only once at the Jay Cutler podcast, a little bit. But for people to understand, you came from Vels, right? I came from Serbia. So it was Yugoslavia back in the day, socialistic country with communistic party being strongest in the government. So we all had to belong to communistic party. I had actually a membership as you in first grade. You have to get it. So you can imagine limitations that you have with that. Right? Kind of brainwashing, right? Capitalism is bad, socialism is what it's supposed to be, but. Parents being medical workers, making pennies. If you can imagine, Dr. Science of Neuropsychiatry, or my sister, laparoscopic surgeon and professor at medical university, making $300 a month.
Wow.
That's to put it in perspective, right? So at that time, obviously, if you want to do some sports, the cheapest one is they throw the soccer ball in front of you, and you can play, 22 kids can play, or a basketball and stuff like that. So as everybody, I was, in sports. I love sports since the beginning, basketball, soccer, and then my father wanted to teach me martial arts, right, and the discipline. So he involved me in karate when I was like 6 years old. But after a couple of years, I realized karate is not Olympic sport, so I cannot represent my country in this, and I switched right away to judo. And I did judo for about 8 years. And I remember, like it was yesterday, this guy once came to the gym with a magazine, bodybuilding magazine, that Arnold Schwarzenegger was on it, right? And when I've seen it, that was a shocker. I mean, people can't even understand, come on, what are you talking about? But you are in the middle of nowhere, right, that you don't see such a thing. So as I was growing, I didn't understand that human body can look like that, right? So instantly I remember I was like, oh my God, man can actually look, what did he do to look like that? So that was my first touch with the bodybuilding, right? And this is why I decided, okay, if anybody can be, so can I. So what do I do to become that? And that's when I moved from judo into the bodybuilding.
So was there anybody then that was competing?
No.
In Yugoslavia?
I mean, as I start training, then I start being interested. Like, there is a contest, and there was. I know that you also competed in IBB, but you competed in NABA.
I did.
So we had the same thing in Yugoslavia, right? So initially, when I started competing, I didn't know that IBB is strongest. The only that one magazine that I've seen Arnold Franco, Frank Zane, and Lou Ferrino and stuff, so I didn't know it's IBB and Olympia. You just don't understand. Of course, I didn't speak English. That's something in English.
Oh, it was an English magazine.
English magazine, yeah. But I didn't initially want to do this for a competition, right?
Yeah.
I just figure I like that look. Man's supposed to be big, strong, muscular, and So for me, there was no brainer. But my father, even though he was a psychiatrist, he was saying, like, man should never look in the mirror unless he's shaving. stuff like that, right? Not to have that narcissistic, part.
Yeah.
So basically, I was covering up always. You could never find a picture of me in a tank top or this is how it was.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. But then I supposed to compete, and I remember I was a junior, but the contest was like about 500 kilometers away.
Yeah.
And Yugoslavian cars, if you remember Yugo, it doesn't go too fast. So by the time we got there, junior was already over. So the only thing that I could do it enter the open division, right?
Yeah.
And I told my parents that I'm going to for basketball tournament, not bodybuilding, right?
Oh, so even then they didn't know you were.
They didn't know that I was, and that I want to compete.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Yeah.
I was 19 at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But to make long story short, I placed fourth in the light heavies, right?
Wow.
And there was in the magazines and in the newspapers. And then my father, of course, calls me and said, "Okay, so where did you go?" Yeah, basketball. Did you guys win?
We got fourth.
And then he threw the magazines like, oh man. And that was a huge thing about my upbringing, because I remember very well when I was a kid, I kind of lie my way out of troubles, right?
Yeah.
And then my father would always give me one good reason to lie, because I'm gonna catch you, and then it's gonna be much worse. So from very beginning, I really tried to be straight and never lie, and that was my late teenage years that I actually lie, and it was.
Yeah.
I said, look, you don't support it, so I didn't want to try to convince you. It's something that I want to do. And same thing is when I decided to come to United States, I couldn't tell them that I'm planning to do, right? Because I was in university studying nutritional technology. I didn't finish, right? And I had that opportunity to come to the United States, and so there's no way that my parents will allow me to go. So I couldn't ask them for the money, So you can imagine.
There's no money.
I mean, you were. I listened to your podcast, and it was wonderful for me to find out that you did all these things as you were young. I mean, I take my hat off to you. I knew about your moving business, but I didn't know about the pigeons and birds. That's super impressive. You see, I was not even allowed to think of that. I mean, you go to school, you have to finish, be academically sound and have a diploma. My sister is a doctor, right? And I was going to be nutrition engineer. So bodybuilder, that didn't fit my family blueprint. So bottom line is this: I didn't get the money, and there was a bodybuilding contest in Yugoslavia where the actual winner is supposed to get like $1,100.
That's a lot of money.
That's a fortune, right?
What year are we talking here?
That's 1987.
Oh, that's a lot.
1987.
That's a lot of money.
35 years ago.
Yes, and there was it was not the IBB contest, but it was organized. So I counted on that money. I said, okay, with this money, I'm going to go and buy my ticket, and I'm going to have some money, pocket money. Well, I went there, and I actually won my class, but lost overall by 1 point.
Oh.
And I know that you know how that feels, because you touch that. Yeah. But I didn't get the money now. It's like, oh, my God. And when I was in the European Championship in Italy once, I placed second in this WBFAU Federation. Again, I didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
And just the way I got to Italy was on the boat, on top, like the cheapest ticket.
Wait. So you decided to compete in an Italian show. And the mode of transport was getting there was on a boat.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you could go fly, but
you had no money.
You had no money for flight.
How long does it take by boat?
That was overnight. There was in Yugoslavia. There was bar. Sorry, in one end, and bari.
Okay.
Right, and it was all night. And it's European Championship again. You gotta understand, I don't know Mr. Olympia, and I just
when you know what you know.
Heard about this contest, right? Mm-hmm. So I won the Serbian Championship, and it's like, okay, let me test myself, right? Because first time international contest, I'm the only one going, nobody even knows, right?
Yeah.
Time to hop on the boat.
Yeah, hop on the boat. The cheapest.
I'm trying to get my head on this.
I know.
So obviously there's no social media back then. You see a flyer, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And you're like, hey, I'm going to compete in this. Where's my boat ticket? You jump on a boat that goes overnight. You're meal prepping. You're doing whatever you need to do to stay in shape on this boat.
No, it's you already had it. It's only one night overnight. So I had my food for
Still,
overnight.
you think about how people
I'm not
bitch
skipping
now.
over this. Like,
but
right?
hold on. To get from my city to bar, there was 3 different buses that I have to take first
my
to
gosh.
Belgrade and then change.
Anybody who
it's a-
complains about flying and
it's a
prepping,
journey.
he just jumped over the
Listen to
3
that.
buses straight on the boat.
Yeah.
So 3 bus journeys
Yes.
to the boat.
To
You
the
get on the boat. Please continue. Yeah.
And then get there. There was I remember Giuseppe Trombetta was promoter. Now, of course, he didn't know, but I was accepted like so. I felt welcome, right? Now, of course, mind you, I never competed. I never seen the big guys and stuff like that, right? So now there was a athletes meeting, and all these monsters were coming in here. I remember, I just felt like, oh my God, I want to just go into the first hole and hide because I can't compete with these guys. It was just like intimidation, like beyond belief, right? But I'm here already. Nobody even knows. So might as well, step on the stage. Now, I don't speak Italian. I don't speak English. And they're dupli bicipiti, like double biceps. So I'm just like looking, because I don't have international experience. I don't know how that goes. Right? So I'm just looking what everybody else is saying. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah. And bottom line is, I got the second place as a light heavy, and president of the federation came to me and said, like, hey. You know how it is. You should win overall, but you're not going to get it. I didn't know there was a prize money. So the first place was like 3 million liras, which I don't know,
whatever,
$1,000 or something. But I got the 300,000 lira. Now you can imagine. That was like fortune for me. I was like the richest guy on earth. Right?
Yeah.
I still went on the boat back. With the cheapest ticket,
He's like this in the boat on the way back.
But here's the punchline. I probably never told you. There was a girl on a boat that was just seasick, puking all over the place, right? And then there was she had another beautiful friend that came there, and so I'm just trying to be helpful. I didn't.
I bet.
He's ripped out of his mind.
Here's my shoulder.
He's probably wearing a tank top.
How that is. So those 2 girls were American. Right?
Oh.
And they told me, okay, they're going to Dubrovnik, so maybe I want to go. So I decided to change my plans. Now I haven't done it. So I went there, but the bottom line is they gave me the address, in San Diego where they live. So if you ever come to the United States, you're welcome to come. I didn't know that both, and I remember the name, Tressa Moses and Lisa Baker. I can say this.
Oh, wow.
I'm so grateful for
Yeah,
them.
shout out Lisa Baker.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for them. But they were on the bachelorette parties. They were both getting married, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that part. But anyway.
Figured that out later.
Yeah, I figured out later.
You don't give a shit either.
No, because by the time I came back to San Diego, I thought I was welcome there, but they were both engaged to be married. Yeah. But they arranged that I was with one of the sisters. So, but
Same story.
Yeah, I'm digressing from my story. I got the money in European Championship, and I get the invitation for Mr. Universe in Arizona.
Oh.
And that was oh my God, I can get the maybe visa for the United States because it is impossible to get the visa to travel. I don't know how you got.
Very difficult.
Very good.
Yeah.
1987, Yugoslavian guy to get, that would be impossible.
Yeah.
But I had invitation from a federation to compete in Miss Universe contest. Yeah. It's like, let me try. And I went to the American Embassy. I showed them that. I said, okay. And they gave me a visa. Now I got a visa.
Incredible.
So I only have to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
But the money that I was counting on, I didn't get it. And my parents were not going to give me. And it's like, oh, man. But because of that contest that I competed, I was Serbian.
Yeah.
And Serbian judges gave it to the other guy, but Slovenian and Croatian judge gave it to me, right?
Wait, your own countrymen went against you?
Exactly. Exactly. That's how it went. But those guys said, like, oh, would you be interested to guest pose in discotheques in Croatia and Slovenia? Yeah. Okay, I mean, I never did such a thing, but I can make the money, and I calculate, I can make just enough to buy a ticket.
Oh, wow.
So that's exactly what I did. I got the ticket, I got the visa, And that was the moment I'm telling my parents, October 17, I'm going to America. They said, yeah, right, you know. And how are you going to get there, right? How are you going to get the visa? I already have it. How are you going to get the ticket? I already have it. Right? And that was like a slap. My father didn't like that, right? But he was okay. See you in a week.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much money you had. I said it at the Jay Cutler.
I remember this.
$428.10. That's what I had.
Wow.
You know,
I had nothing too.
But you see, in Italy, I was invited, and promoter paid for everything, for hotel, everything. Yeah. So I was expecting, you know, that they're going to do this in Arizona too. So I didn't count on it.
No.
So when you say how long did it take me, it took me 3 planes and 33 hours to get to Arizona, and I arrived 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had to report 8 o'clock in the morning for prejudging. Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
5 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, so.
This is 89, right?
87.
87, okay.
I'm drug-free, okay? Because, again, one of those things in this magazine that I've seen of Arnold, you know, that crazy pose when he looked like, that's the black and white photo.
Yeah.
He's looking like 300 pounds. I always wondered if this could possibly be photoshopped. But, you know, back in the day, there was never Photoshop.
I'll have to look.
But that looked like crazy. I went to Miss Universe, I placed 6th, right? But I remember when I was talking to these guys, right, and they asked me, what are you taking, right? And I don't speak English. Now they're saying some sort of, EAAs, you know, like, and then you hear this, fuck you. It's like, I understand what fuck you means.
Yeah.
So maybe I said something that sounded bad, so I'm not taking anything against them, but they were pissed off that I'm claiming I'm drug-free, right?
Interesting.
You know, because I really didn't even consider taking it because you have no knowledge about it, right? And
When it costs money, too.
yeah, but that too, but just the whole thing, it's dangerous, and you know,
right.
back in those times, they also told you steroids don't increase any athletic performance or muscle mass or anything, right? But so I came to the United States. I went to San Diego after I spent half of my money on a hotel in Arizona.
Oh, so you hit these girls up.
Yeah. So now I have to go there, right, to San Diego from Tucson.
Shout out Lisa Baker.
Yes. So that's common name, so probably you know some. This girl was absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, everything. But listen, I was going to take a bus, my normal transportation. Yeah. And I remember this one guy said, why would you take a bus? Like, what do you mean? It was like a plane. I said, no. It's much cheaper. So he calls. Bus ride was $50.
Yeah.
Plane was $51.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm serious. No, I mean, you know, it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know, in Serbia, it's 100 times more. So anyway, I showed up at the airport and called the girl, right, and said, oops, she's married with, you know. But it's okay, just stay there. My sister's going to pick you up. So that's how I came to the States. Now, you have your journeys.
Were you speaking English at this point in time?
Tarzan English.
Tarzan English.
Tarzan English. Yeah, I mean, really, literally.
This is incredible.
I mean,
I knew nothing of this.
Yeah, 0. I mean, pretty much. So now, my money is cut down to like 200, right? And so what do I do? And so why don't you sign up to be a trainer in this Jack LaLanne's gym? I said, okay. So now I go for the interview, right? Speak 0 English.
Oh my gosh.
But there was a lady that was a manager, right? So I'm 23 years old with Mr. Universe contest, right?
Good-looking guy.
Good-looking guy at that time, right? I was like, okay. And I swear to God, she was just blabbing, and I was just okay. She said, yes. Okay.
Too evident.
So, and but the girl was with me, right?
Yeah.
So when we came out, she said, "What? You got the job. You're supposed to come on Monday." So that was like Friday, right?
Crap, yeah.
It's like, how I'm going to actually do the job? I don't speak English, right? Yeah. So there was a crash course, you know, for 3 days, push, pull, squeeze, you know, these kind of things that I could actually, you know, do the work. But I don't have a permission to work.
That's true.
Right? So they told me to give a social security number. I mean, this is all illegal, right?
This is my favorite part, honestly.
So I said, what do I do? So this girl gave me Social Security number. So I had the Social Security number, right? And then I'm supposed to be paid, right, every 2 weeks. There was minimum wage. At that time, it was like $3.15, right?
Oh, dang.
Yeah. But listen, that was like tons of money, comparing to what I could see in Serbia.
Yeah.
But I was hired to work 12 hours for $40 a day. Okay. But I didn't know the taxes and everything else. Right? When you just give that number, they take like 33% off and stuff like that. And you have to wait for 2 weeks for your first paycheck.
Yep.
To make long story short, I really ran out of money. And my diet I was starving. And I don't know if I said that to Jay Cutler's podcast, but probably I did. You probably didn't know that either. I had zero money, and I'm starving. So what do? I remember I was raised by parents, very strict, very good people.
Yeah.
Never lie, never steal, never. But one time I overheard my father saying to somebody, if a hungry man steals to survive, that's not stealing. So, so I got to noted. So I'm starving, right? I go to the supermarket, and I remember going through, right? I said, okay, you can't really have any good food, right? You take a muffin, and then when you're going through the aisles, you just like inhale it. And this is exactly what I was doing until I get my first paycheck.
You surviving on muffins?
And muffins.
It's like a Chris Aceto diet.
Wow.
Yeah. Chris, my muffin is my thing.
Chris is going to tag on to that. Yeah. So you were how old again at this point in time?
23.
23. You had a job, no money.
Yeah.
And so you literally were eating just muffins and whatever else you could get hold of.
Listen, of course, I get the first paycheck.
Yeah, of course.
And then, my diet was, I can tell you, because a lot of people always complain, we don't have money. I had no money, and I wanted to compete in Mr. Universe because 87 I was 6th, 88 I was 3rd, and 89 I won. So, I had that plan. I could buy can of tuna, but not those small ones. I don't know if you guys ever seen it. Those giant ones back in the Costco back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
And then you buy like 5 dozens of eggs for like $4, and then you buy rice. So rice, egg whites, and...
Is it true you have eaten the same breakfast every single day forever?
To this day, I can't wait to wake up and have it.
It's an interesting breakfast, too, because it's definitely not the norm.
Really?
Yeah, well... I would put 2 eggs and then egg whites, the rest of the egg whites. And then I would have a Greek yogurt type, because that's what we had in Serbia. And I had like brazala, or like dry beef. This is something that we would have. And bread. I'm Serbian. We eat bread.
I had it in your house.
I had bread all the way to the contest back in the day. That was my choice of carb. So with very limited money, right? And I was working from 10 to 10. Right? So now, I was offered, I can do also personal training. So that's great.
Yeah.
And so I have to go before the work, right? Before the work, I'm supposed to train. And I always train twice a day. So now I'm supposed to train twice a day. I work 10 to 10, so I can't train at that time. I have to train before and after. Okay, then I can train a couple of other people. So I come 5 o'clock in the morning, train train myself. And I remember I charged them $10 because that's 3 times the amount of,
$10 the whole session?
Yeah, session, and I thought it was very good.
3 times minimum wage.
Yeah, minimum wage,
Yeah, still, but
I remember there was this guy, Steve Haynes. He would literally, in a fully loaded gym, come with a towel and have Ali, right, grab one side and he would take it out, and now she would do the biceps curls. And then he would turn around and do the triceps extensions. I mean, stupidest exercises and all this stuff. But he had clients all day long and all this. And then I find out he's charging $100 an hour.
Wow.
Now, at that time,
a lot.
It's equivalent to
$250.
No, you're charging $10,000 for the. I mean, that's equivalent to, right?
That's unbelievable.
So a guy came to me and then he hires me to train him, right? So I charge him $10, and then next thing you know, I say, oh, he trains these people like I train him. Like, oh man, okay, I guess I learned something like early on.
Yeah.
But then at one party, I shouldn't say maybe that, but might as well. I can't lie. There was like ecstasy party.
Yeah.
I guess ecstasy would make you talk and make you love your enemy and make you tell your darkest secrets. So he came to me and he goes, Miloš, let me tell you, you know, you have to understand American people. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
See, you charge $10. Nobody's going to hire you. Like, what is this? I said, what do you mean? I said, look, if this shirt, exact shirt I can buy at the swap meet for $2, right? Or at the Neiman Marcus for $100, what do you think Americans are going to do? Of course he's going to buy you. It's the same shirt you're going to pay $2. No. They're going to buy for $100 and tell everybody, I bought this at the Neiman Marcus.
That's true.
So what do you mean by it? I say, you have to charge more. You're not charging enough. Because all his clients are like, I have this guy charge me $100 an hour, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay, I have nothing to lose, right? So I raised to 25.
Yeah.
And then 50, and then I went to 100 like in no time.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how I started really, making money. So that's
Yeah.
I love it.
yeah.
So where were you at this point in time in relation to competing?
I was competing throughout 87,
Okay.
88, 89. So 89 now I won finally Mr. Universe, right?
Yeah.
But at that point, being in the United States, I realized it's not my federation. You have to compete in IBB to be,
Yep.
competitive. And here comes, how do I get the pro card, right? So now I still think I had to get citizenship at the time, right? So I went to one of the USA championships, and I've seen Wayne DeMilia and Jim Mannion. Right?
Okay.
So I came to Wayne DeMilia and asked, like, excuse me, I'm Yugoslavian bodybuilder, blah, blah, blah. I would like to, turn IBB professional. How do I do it?
Yeah.
And then he's looking at me, right? So, do you have pictures? And I had the pictures of me, right?
Wow.
I said, by accident.
Yes,
oh, yeah,
yes.
here.
Here's my.
Right.
Oh, which pocket? 8x10.
A lot of people ask me, why did you? I said, see, I can't really answer why did I have those pictures with me, but I had them.
It was common back. I mean, when I came to the US first, I had a few people show me photos, literally. So it was no mobiles or cell phones there. It was, I guess that was your business card in a sense, right?
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's.
I mean, there's a lot of people going to get pissed off about this. So Wayne took my pictures right here, went to Jim Mannion.
Yeah.
They looked at the pictures. He came back to me and he says, tell your IBB president to send the application. We approve you. Like, what?
Wow.
And at that time, really, any national level champion from Wales, I mean, Dorian was English champion. He didn't go to the IBB World Championships, right?
Yeah.
Sonny Schmidt, my roommate, was Australian champion. So I got my pro card that way.
Yeah.
And I, as you know, that I competed all the time. The first contest that was available was San Jose Pro Invitational, but my father got the stroke, right? So I went back to Serbia. And I was there with him, right? You know how a stroke is, unfortunately. He had his left leg amputated already, and then stroke paralyzed his right side, so all he could have was just movement with the left arm. And another thing that is very critical, when stroke happens, some centers in the brain can be affected. And as my sister explained me, my father had the whole memory saved, so he was still Dr. Science of neuropsychiatry, knowing exactly what was happening to him.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
that motoristic to say it, he couldn't.
Wow.
To write it, he couldn't, because that connection is lost. So and I just remember him being so frustrated. And
I bet that was hard.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, so I'm just there, and you know what it is to pick up the dead weight, when somebody can't move, right? So I had to be there constantly, But there was that one moment, so I would wait for him to go to sleep so I can go train at night. And when I went to train one time and I came back, I found my mother and my father on the floor. My mother tried to pick him up. she couldn't, and then she fell down and she broke the leg. And it was like one of those things, and I'll never forget that because I'm guilty when I wasn't there available. Right? So that's one of those things that always haunts me. But anyway, being there, my father was finally starting to rehabilitate a little bit, and he basically signaled me through my mom and my sister as translators that, I should go back to America. So I went back to America, and it was 17 days before the contest, right?
Wow.
It's like, okay, I live in San Diego, San Jose, I don't have to spend much money, so again, I'm going to go and compete. And just for these people that to understand, because I'm sure that your first international contest was a little bit different. Same like my first international contest in Italy, now I'm going to, on the pro scene, I don't expect nothing. I mean, I was just going to go there, and I had a friend of mine with a camera that, okay, snap the pictures, I'm going to be right there, right?
Yeah.
And I was number 2, I remember, next to Steve Brisbois and Tim Belknap.
Okay, I remember Tim.
Yeah, but then there was a strange moment that, because I'm just posing for my friend in the lineup, I'm next to Steve Brisbois, you know, and then there was Albert Beckles there, John Brown, right? So I just focusing on that. I was called for my first round comparison with Sonny Schmidt and Ron Love, and actually I won symmetry round in that show. To make long story short, I placed top 3. I qualified for the Olympia on my first
show.
The first show, I was, beyond. And I'm sure, like, you have your story. Next day, all the magazines wanted to take pictures. Right? I was on the cover of every magazine, and it's like, oh, shit. Yeah. But one interesting thing was, in San Diego, we had a few pros. One was Jerry Rogers, and Jerry Rogers was training in that same gym. I remember when I went to San Jose and I was checking in the hotel, and, oh, you came to watch? I said, no, I came to compete. And he started hysterically laughing. Like,
at you?
Yeah, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? So, of course, I beat him. And then I beat him in every other show.
Fuck you, Jerry.
It was one of those, things. And I was on the podcast yesterday with Dennis and Chris, and we talked about winning, and the question was, why all these pros nowadays are not competing?
Yeah.
Back in the day, in the 90s, there was very few pros, and there is 30 guys that competed. I know when you competed in open division in Tampa or Europa show, right?
I done,
It was 30, 40 guys.
Yeah, they're stacked.
They're stacked. So why they're not competing now? And then Chris Cormier goes like, well, maybe guys know that they can't win. I said, listen, I knew I can't win any of them. I lost 71 out of 72 times. I won one show. I was preparing. I mean, it was not even a question. It's a challenge. It's your job. You're supposed to be competing, right? That's how I always took it. So one thing that is probably different, maybe, Ali, you don't follow the sport. I was competing in every organized show throughout the year. Everything organized, I entered. Because for me was, Spartans, what's your profession, right?
Yeah.
I'm a pro bodybuilder. There's a pro contest. I'm going to skip this one. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So I entered every single one of them, even though I wasn't placing. I mean, of course, originally beside the 3rd place, but I went to first Olympia. I didn't make top 15.
Yeah.
But there was just, one of those things. You're a pro, that's your opportunity, and you have to explore it.
Did you get anything for that, for the top 15? Anything at all?
No. The top 10 would be, you know what? Maybe I'm lying. Maybe it was $1,000 for every participant.
Yeah.
Top 10, that's exactly. 10th place was $10,000, and then everybody else got $1,000.
How many other athletes were in that lineup?
20-something, yeah. I remember. And that was the first time, actually, I got great reviews from Peter McGough. Yeah. God bless his soul.
Right,
He's all of our favorites. It says, like, look, kid, you have a potential, you have a shape, just keep digging. But, okay, because you guys talk about the podcast about the business and everything. Now, I come with no money, right?
Yeah.
And it's different when you have to make ends meet to survive, right? And also work. Because imagine that 10 to 10. So I have to be 5 o'clock in the morning in the gym until midnight. Okay? 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Where does he sleep? I slept 3.5 hours. It's necessity is mother of all inventions, right? That was enough for me. Sunday, I would sleep almost all day, and I would catch up. I mean, but that's what you have to do. That's what you do.
How did you keep your passion for competing, being that you were in the gym all day long, training people, motivating your clients, then having to motivate yourself for 2 sessions?
Yeah, 2 sessions, yeah. Listen, that was my job. Every workout, I could not wait to start. I couldn't wait so I can overdo what I did last time. It was one of those things, seriously, the level of excitement and passion that I can improve.
Yeah.
Every day I can improve. So this is how it was never like nowadays, right? I don't know, that's a punishment. If you have to train,
we've had these conversations.
Like, oh my God! But before it was excitement.
Yeah.
A leg day. I couldn't wait to wake up in the morning so I can run to the gym and kill myself.
But my question is, what was going through your mind when you first came over here with that $428.10? What was going through your mind? Was it like, well, let's see if this works, or was like there's no other way but to make it work? Because those are 2 different mindsets.
Yeah, there's no other way but to make it work. And listen, really, at that time, of course, I didn't read some book of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and have everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this at this time, and just put the numbers on it. For me, intention was to make a career off of this. And if you catched, I was drug-free initially. So I competed in the Universe. I competed a couple of local shows, and then I realized, okay, I'm losing, and there was a moment, okay, if you want to make a living out of it, you do what big boys do. So I was already ready for that. I was starving. My diet was starvation because I didn't have money. And then I had a little bit of money. I was trying to make as best possible nutrition so I can continue competing. And then slowly, made it up to the 91 when I could turn professional. I turned professional, got $3,000 for 3rd place, right? And then I got the contracts, same as he was saying. And I remember when we touched the subject, I don't know if you even realize, when I signed you up on the contract, I didn't even have a company. We didn't even have a product, right?
Yeah.
I just knew that at that time you needed it just to survive, because that's what I was.
Yeah.
When I had, at that time, first contract, I'm going to tell you exactly, because you said entrepreneur. I spoke very bad English. Not that I speak good now, but there was, and back in that time there was no computers.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a type machine. So, 89, I remember I wrote 5 letters, handwritten, super bad English, to Power Bar, Mega Pro. There was Amino Discounters. There was like 5 different companies.
Yeah.
I'm so and so. I'm a Yugoslavian bodybuilder. I won Mr. Universe, and I would like to maybe them to consider me representing the company. I sent 5 letters.
Yeah.
I got 5 responses.
Wow.
Power Bars, okay, they're going to sign me up right away.
Huh.
Okay, and say, how much money are you looking for?
When you begin.
I had no idea, right?
And this is all done by letter.
That's so
By
crazy.
letter, listen, you can still dig out that owner of Power Bar actually published my original letter, and it was not it was not even straight, it was like angled. And I mean, in English,
it's incredible.
Even if you try to write something in Serbian language, right? This is how many
Same as
mistakes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was horrible, but he loved it. He invited me, and I remember I said, how about I can get the $5,000 for a year, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know to ask for more. But one thing that I asked, can you pay for all of my competitions?
Smart.
And I say yes. Hotel, traveling per diem,
There we go.
So I enter every shows. I mean, because everything was paid for, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Then I got Mega Pro, Mega Pro company. Then I had, there was a clothing company, Perfetto. So 5 letters, 5 responses. One that I got was actually, the discounters. They just sent me the free product. There was a supplement company. I remember it was very funny. I must say, I'll never say it publicly. So I said, just use the products and let us know how they're working for you.
Mm-hmm.
But there was some at the max AM, some at the max PM, right? And my English knowledge of AM is before noon and PM is afternoon, right?
Yeah.
So, 12 p.m., like middle of the day, I take some at the max PM, right?
Oh my gosh.
And there was GHB in it.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Middle of the day, clients, anything else?
Yeah.
So
Probably felt great.
I do remember just like I'm waking up. It's like, what the hell happened, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't connect it that this could be with supplements. But then second, third time that it happened, like, Jesus Christ. So I called him like, hey, like, what the hell is this? They say, I said, did you read the instructions? I said, yeah, it's called Max PM. No, it's called take it before you sleep.
Holy shit.
So that's kind of things. But I was encouraged by, I sent the letters and they actually found the value.
Yeah.
And so now I could, make a living off of bodybuilding, and similar to you when you came in and you, like you said, when you got the Weider contract, there was endless relief. These are kind of things.
So that was like the turning point where you're like, okay, I can make this a profession.
Yes, profession.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
You see, your husband reached the top and won 7 times Olympia. So I never went that far. So when you question me, right, I really never visualized myself as Mr. Olympia. Maybe that realistic part of me. First, if I didn't answer your question on what if you have to have a plan B? When I came in here and I'm going to have to make it work. Yeah, there was only plan A.
Yeah.
Plan A that you make it work one way or another. There was no plan B.
Right.
But now when I came to the United States and started competing as a pro, of course, my first Olympia didn't make top 15. And I realized there was Lex and Kevin and Sean and Nasser and Dorian, Chris Cormier, Paul Dillette. I mean, you have to have a realistic part of you and say, like, I can't beat these guys. I mean, yes, maybe if I would, do some miracle and all that stuff. But so I was just trying to be competitive. One good advice I got from Sean Ray back in the days: never refuse a photo shoot. So I did as many photo shoots. So I was all over the magazines, and that's how I got recognized. And,
when you were competing so much, I know before we came on the podcast, you brought up some of the things that you are kind of known for, right?
Yeah.
Did that happen while you were competing? Were you innovative while you were competing, coming up with, intra-workout supplementation and things like that?
So see, thank you for asking this, because a lot of people maybe don't know and they don't give me credit for it. Growing up with my father's upbringing, neuropsychiatrist, he always told me, okay, listen, whatever you see, whatever you read, it's still up to you to understand, digest, comprehend, and maybe even improve.
Yeah.
And he says even scientific facts or historical facts might not be the actual facts. Histories are written by the winners, and you can hear many different versions, right? And science, sometimes is accepted, but you have your own mind. So this is actually how it came about, for my intra-workout supplementation, right? I make $0.00 from it, right? I invented this whole thing. I understood early on that when you train, that increased blood flow to the muscle happens, and you have that increased hyperemia, right? So from 10% of your blood, total blood that you have, to 60-70% blood going in the exact muscle that you're training. So can you do something at that period? Like, yeah, that's the only time during a day when you can do that. So I said, like, what happens if I have pre-digested elemental state of the nutrients that can be uptaken by the cells? Essential amino acids, BCAAs, creatine, glutamine, beta-alanine, citrulline, right? And be driven with the glucose and insulin as a carrier. So this is one thing that I started doing. I remember even when Flex came in, and originally we didn't have a product, right? We were doing the capsules before, and capsules in the middle of a workout. Yeah, but as we were doing this for a while, they said, like, why don't you just make your company and product? And that's how I made actually KNS supplement. He was my first signee.
Okay.
First athlete.
Yeah.
His first athlete, yeah. And so this is that one thing, right, that I was thinking differently, outside of the box. My training, right, you're supposed to train a certain way, or no. I always have to, in everything in life, and Ali, maybe you don't think as an athlete, but everything in any aspect of business, your business, right? You can maximize, optimize, or minimize, right? So a lot of people are happy with mediocre optimization, right? But champions going for maximization, right? So how can I make my training more intense, more, so what I need to accomplish, maximal stimulation, a maximum amount of muscle fibers of the targeting muscle group, whatever I'm training, chest. How do I do that? Just heavy duty, right? Progressive overload and myofibril hypertrophy, or you can do also lighter weight and pump and squeeze, change angle, tempo, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. So I realized I'm supposed to do both, and that's how I was doing it, right? And then
that wasn't popular though.
It wasn't. I mean, it's still not that popular nowadays. They always think, Miloš is just doing lightweight and giant sets. No, that's just a part of it.
Sure.
But
well, I can tell. Please continue, and I'll come in when you have, because I've got first-hand experience from the trenches with many workouts with Miloš.
I love to hear it because, listen, of course, for me, and it's dear to my heart, and your wife probably doesn't know. So originally, also he stayed with me in the house, right?
Yeah.
And but
she knows a lot of stories.
We lived in Temecula, and my gym was Fullerton. So it's 70 miles, right? So you have to get there and stay all day, and then so going back and forth, he had to stay in the gym all day long. So might as well train twice, right?
Yeah.
I try to hide.
Yeah.
No.
And there was of course moments, but and then it was much better for you to stay with Everett and all this stuff.
Certainly was.
But for me, I know there was a few moments, and I mention this all the time. First time he was exposed to the trans. Look at his forearms. He has the most monstrous forearms on the planet Earth, right? But first time we trained back, right? When you have a multiple exercises, I didn't let him use the straps because that takes time, right? Until you. So
it's true.
And he was about to cry. my forearms are numb, and I just as he was showing. I grabbed his wrist and then slapped him as hard as I could.
Bitch slapped me. Bitch slapped me. I was like, first of all, I was we were so new in the relationship too. Yeah. So it was just like, when you meet somebody many times, it's always the best version of that person.
Yeah.
But then when you get to know that person, and this is nothing bad, but when you get to know that person and you become friends, there's this side of Milos and there's the guy in the gym.
Yeah.
And that guy in the gym demands a respect, and that's what you got from me. And my wife knows many stories I've said, and I'd love to say one if you don't mind. Where
please.
And probably one I've already said, but when I came to, for the viewers, when I came to California, I was training in Venice Goals, and obviously this place was built up so big and. This was the place you had to be at. Yeah. And I got there the second time, not the first time. The first time I went there was just before the Ironman, so you can imagine it'd be just like the Dragon's Lair. Everybody's in the gym. You think this is the norm. I got there on the second time, and there was nobody there. Chris Cormier was the only person. He was always on his phone. He was talking to chicks. I was like, this is why I've moved the other side of the world to come to. I was in awe of the gym. And the women walking around, I was a little teenager, fucking dog with 3 dicks, but, before you, babe, you fulfill all that now. But in terms of what I came there for, the substance of what I came there for, I wasn't having any of that. And then I hear about, the Coliseum gym that I've already been to one time, but I didn't realize how close it was. It all depends how close it is in fucking rush hour, right? I decided to leave in rush hour. I get to his gym. I boarded my friend's car and I walk in, and of course, in traditional Milos fashion, the biggest of welcomes. And it was that first session. I don't know if you remember this or not, because I know you had a lot of people through. I was like, I'm in Santa Monica, and I go into the gym. I don't think I finished my sentence, and you were looking for somebody in your gym that I was going to stay with. And Everett was that person. You're like, Everett. you still got that house? It was not to the exact words, but pretty much you said to him, Flex is going to stay with you, okay? And he was like, oh, okay, nice to meet you. It was just like, this is your new roommate. He's not going to pay rent. This guy's broke. You need somebody to talk to at night. You guys can train together periodically. And it was just this. But again, Everett was such a different breed, right? He's obviously from Hawaii. He's an incredible kid. And you had that respect from him too, and you understood the scenario. I think you, not to put words in your mouth too, but you see my struggle. You knew that I was there on my $400 and something too, and I could have quite easily stayed content in Santa Monica. My friend had this beautiful house right next to the beach. You know, I had his car. He was hardly ever there, so I had this house to take care of in a sense. And then I moved myself to a sofa for a year and a half. And I had my ass kicked every fucking day by this guy, you know. And obviously when I overwelcomed my stay with Everett, you took me in, you know. And going back to what you were saying, we would drive to the gym every single day. It was military. We'd leave the house exactly at the same time. And the whole drive there, we were listening to operatic music, classical music. Miloš is singing on the way down. He turned around. I swear, I love telling these stories because this fucker drives like a maniac. He fucking I don't know how. Every day we drove, you would, and I swear, down the camera, we would drive no less than 100 miles an hour to this fucking gym. And this guy, 100, 110, we're bombing it. And he's turning. He's got his arm in the back of the seat. He's turning. Hey, you need a pause to this. Listen to this. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, keep your head down, don't look up. We are going to fucking roll. But no, we would have the best of times on the way down, but the soon.
It's the first time you told me about my driving because I heard from everybody else.
Listen,
right?
you drive fucking fast, mate.
He's like, you know, Chris, them, and his training partner, they were coming, and I just picked them up at the airport, and then later on, they would say, no, don't worry, you know, you don't need to pick us up. So he wouldn't want to drive me, my now present wife, you know, Betty, she's like, you drive like a man.
Well, I will tell you this. When we walked into that gym, we had a relationship that was very unique, very great, that when we drove to the gym, but as soon as you walked into that gym, it was like you were the Sergeant Major. You were a military-esque.
Yes.
And there was a routine that I seen every time you'd walk in, you'd say hello to the staff, you say hello to whoever was congregating at the front. You would go into the fridge and get a Monster, low-energy Monster, and you would go into your office, and then nobody would bother you because you were straight into work. And then all of a sudden we knew the time that we started, and the door would open, and he would shout, "Hardcore! Hardcore! Let's go!" And the whole gym knew that we were about to start. And whoever that was there, obviously, you know, there was many stories I can tell, but whoever was there in town to train with you, kind of everybody got up and sort of jumped to attention, and it was amazing. I love telling these stories, you know.
Okay, this is coming from you that means so much more. But you understand, if you're a coach of elite guys, you want to maximize, right? So in my contract, I don't know how is your contract. In my contract with Sim Gym, you cannot talk to Miloš and his athletes on the gym floor, and when they're eating.
Oh,
that was in the contract.
I never knew that to this day.
Yeah, it's
smart.
Yeah,
it is smart.
Because if I train you, and there was many times like somebody comes, "Hey, Flex."
Yeah. I've seen that too.
And I say, "What the hell are you doing?" So I had to say,
"You were a different breed." I mean, I
didn't allow anything, right?
Yeah.
Because then, how is your wife? How is your kid? How is your this?
You have a whole.
No. It's a brain surgery, and we are in the middle of a surgery. You can't touch it, you know. And a lot of people get offended. I soften up, you know. Like nowadays, not too many people trying, but.
Well, I tell people that. I say to present training partner Hunter Campbell of the UFC, I say, you got the nice version. The nice version.
No, Hunter is actually killing you. So I'm trying to escape. But I'm glad you mentioned it. So listen, there is no compromises, right? There's no excuses. And it's Colosseum Gym. Second you step that foot like on the gym floor,
absolutely,
there's no comfort. It's a survival, you know, it's a fight. And we did this, you know, many times. I was trying to dig out some pictures of you laying on the floor and I mean,
The who's who was on that floor, Miloš.
Yeah, no, and your face would always reflect it because he's so expressionate. You know, like you don't have to hear anything; you just see his face. You know.
I have, as I said, many great memories, and just to touch on what you said with like that Spartan-esque mentality. It was bred into every athlete. Even if you came in and he was jovial, I remember one time you had some athletes, I'm not mentioning names here, that came in and they were saying that I'm so struggling, I'm on zero carbs, and then next thing, and you'd be like, shut the fuck up. You are not on zero carbs, and I can prove it. And he was like, no, I'm on zero carbs. And then you have such a way of giving somebody that, going back to you said very early, that one chance to tell the truth until you expose them. Yeah. And this one particular athlete was swearing down that he was on zero carbs for quite some time, and you just ripped this guy apart, and with knowing. Yeah. But going back to what we were saying with the gym, and whether you know this or not, I've taken a lot of stuff from that part of my life and put it into my life, even through the gym here, because it's all about culture, right? There was athletes that would fly all over the world. Social media was so new then too. So it was all message boards. You were the mind. You knew the secrets. Everybody would come in. I was one. And then when you walked into that gym, it was a magazine. And I just remember just coming in, seeing everybody. There's not any fucking point in saying the names. It was everybody. The whole Olympia lineup would come in, whether they were working with you or whether they were in a shoot for Flex magazine. Your gym was the mecca, you know, and I think back to that time, and I knew I was living in a very unique and special moment. But now I look back and I think to myself, holy fucking shit, I was in a magazine daily. And what you taught me was every day is a photo shoot. Yeah. And I stayed in shape. I trained my ass off, but I stayed in shape for the opportunities. I moved from the comfy house, the comfy sofa, the comfy bed, to a uncomfy sofa, no air conditioning, and my clothes are in a suitcase on the floor. Yeah. You know, there's no TV. It was Spartan training. I had to train with you twice a day. See the word I used, had to train with you twice a day. I was so used to the one. I'd never recover, and I'd done this for months and months. And you said there's no such thing as overtraining. There's only such a thing as under-eating. And I was like, right? Yeah, yes. Exactly. And I just remember waking up in the middle of the night with that mentality.
You rest when you die.
Yeah. Right? and that is the mentality that went through the whole fucking gym. Yeah. The Spartan mentality is like, how much do you fucking want this? Yeah. So it all played a part to get me to where I am today, because you could have just said, you know what, this is the new Mecca, fans are coming in, and you could have arranged your business model around the fans, but no. In fact, everything was secondary to the athletes, and you put these athletes, such as myself, on such a pedestal, and you allowed, there was never a secret, like, and just to say this too, if you don't mind me saying, you put me in your guest room, and you said, Flex, that right there is a journal of every one of my show preps, from the off season to the pre-contest. Help yourself, read, and you just give me a book, and I would look.
From 87 to 2003.
Very similar every fucking day, but you had key notes at the bottom, how you felt, the pump, you know, with a high carb, and you had this, you made this, I think it was like an ice cream of something, or a protein, or a matrix thing. Yeah. And I just would read these journals, and that became like my magazine, you know. I'd read all this stuff, and again, there was nothing, and there was never a question that I couldn't ask you. There was never anything that was off limits. It was your knowledge that you've worked on from Serbia to the present day Miloš that we see on all the magazines was everybody's. And that's fascinating, because there's so much fucking secrets in bodybuilding, and you were like, listen, there is none. Here it is.
I'm going to jump on it, because when you talked to Ali last time, you said you pulled what Arnold did to Franco, you know, like you're not going to reveal. I never had a secret. I would always tell, I sincerely want to help everybody. Right?
I've seen it.
So when I did, if you're my athlete or not my athlete, I'm going to tell you the truth, only truth and nothing but the truth always, right? So, you know, when people thought, oh, your insulin thing, right? Among other things, I brought insulin usage to the sports. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't know how to use it, so misuse can cause you troubles. And if you knew how to use it, and there was big thing back in the 90s, everybody used it. So why didn't you just keep the secrets for yourself and be Mr. Olympia?
Yeah.
For me, there was always, okay, if you're true athletes that have the same tools, same knowledge, and then work as hard as you can and let the best man win.
Yeah.
I never had those secrets, right? So I published many articles. I couldn't use my name as I was with Weider, so the Mass Media 2000, we put a professional X, so I did many articles there, informing people, educating them. Right?
Is that how it got out through these articles?
Yes.
Or because there, obviously, like I said, there was no social media back then. It was like
no social media.
So it was magazines and message boards?
Yes, and then message boards. And then I would occasionally go to message boards and, try to straighten out people because there was idiots like GetBig.com, GH15 or something.
Oh, yeah.
They would say crazy
We've been all on those boards.
Yeah, you see, so they send the wrong information, abuse of steroids and all that stuff. So I would feel responsible that I want to save younger kids and generations. No, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. This is Olympia cycle, right?
Right.
So I pose this is still there, right? It's excuse me, fuck you, Miloš, you're a liar and all this stuff. Because dealers, it's in their interest to sell you as much as possible. So if I tell you, this much, it's not good. And then what was happening back then, we always said off cycles. We were completely off. Off means off.
Off means off.
And then became to this bridging cycle or whatever it's called, cruising.
Yeah.
And cruising cycle is bigger than Olympia cycle back in the day. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I felt always personal responsibility. Even this podcast now, that if I say something, I stand behind it.
Yeah.
And you can call me on it.
So going back to the guys that you've prepped back in the day, I got a couple of questions. Who was your first athlete, and who was the most impressive? I kind of know some of these things, but who was the first pro that kind of you blew up?
Nasser or somebody.
Nasser.
Hey, listen, I was competing against Nasser.
Incredible.
So I prepared him to beat me.
Unbelievable.
So it was just like one of those things. And as you mentioned, I said that a few times, so people are going to say, Miloš is so boring, he always repeats
the truth.
But you mentioned that my journals were there, right? So you had access, you can read everything.
Yeah.
So when Nasser came to me first time, 94, after the Olympia, one of the journals was there because I was just filling it up.
Yeah.
So what is this? Okay, so I told him. And then he looked at it, and then he looked at his wife and said something in the German language, right?
Yeah.
Like, Arschloch. Arschloch is asshole.
Oh, he said that in front of you?
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that got my attention. Like, what do you mean? You say, like, oh, yeah, like this asshole is lying, right?
Yeah.
I said, hold on a second.
Lying.
I said, that's 1994. I said, Bisera is his wife. She was German, but he gave her a Serbian name. And I said, like, okay, isn't that exactly the same thing? 1993 at FIBO, we sit down, he asked me if I can help him. And for 2 hours, I told him everything, how to use insulin, pre-contest cycle, PCT, everything, gave you my heart. Here, this is exactly.
Yeah.
And when you put the 2 hours...
That's a lot of information.
Against your competitor. He was my countryman, right? Yeah. So I wanted to help him. Well, in 94, after the Olympia, when they came in, right? And now he's reading this, and he's telling Arschloch to his wife. I was like, hold on a second, Bisera, isn't this what I wrote here every day exactly what I told you in 1993?
Yeah.
He says, yes, Miloš, but Nasser did exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
Because, that thing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, why would you give me the right information?
Yeah.
Oh, for the love of God. And so that was 94. 95 in January, we started training, together. We were in 95. I don't know if you remember all the shows. The first show that he was doing after the 94 Olympia was Houston, which he won, and what's his name? Vince Taylor was second. I was fifth. Ronnie Coleman was not in top 5 in that one. And then Night of the Champions, again, he beat Vince Taylor. Night and day difference. That was like you said, like, wow.
Yeah.
Because he then became contender that he can match Dorian with the size and yeah, there was. So he was my first one, right? There a lot of people later on, because Nasser had a few choice awards. You know, he wrote the article. I never. I forgave him this million times over. You know, I always try to keep the good memories. He got very offended.
Yeah.
You know, it's probably not good for topic of this.
This is a very open podcast, so you can.
Okay, so I'm ashamed of, especially in front of Ali, but it's funny, so I have to tell you this also. This is the first time publicly that I'm saying. You know how this personal trainer told me how Americans are, right? So I should do this. So there was Bill Evans. He was multimillionaire. He was owner of Bahia Hotel, Catamaran, in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
So I was training him. I said, Miloš, let me explain you about the American woman. You know the story?
No.
So it's okay, so let me find out. And first, you have to give them a compliment. And then you ask exactly what you want. For example, nice shoes. You want to fuck? You know that? I said this because it's so funny. But so
I do have nice shoes.
yeah, but
And he does want-
listen, as bad as it sounds. I mean, I know this
Funny.
is, but it's funny. It worked about 7 out of 10 times.
Come on.
Yeah, it was nice caps, nice this, nice
Yeah.
that. Because, I'm not the English speaker, right?
Even the
So
accent,
if she gets
good-looking guy.
offended, I say, maybe
Yeah, be like, oh, fuck.
sorry.
Fuck yes, you are good. I love this. Yeah.
So I had to.
Oh my God.
Say that.
That's funny.
Because I said
good.
my most embarrassing story already on the Jake Cutler podcast. So this is also embarrassing, but I have to say it because a lot
It's
of
easy.
people know.
Yeah.
So if somebody tell you nice shoes, be very careful.
It's normally her.
Yeah.
So. But so what about obviously Nasser was your first.
Yeah.
Who was the best?
It's hard to
Almost
say.
impressive.
I loved Dennis Wolf's transformation, because
Yes.
2006, and you have a lot of pictures with him
Yes.
back in the day. 2006, I saw him compete. He didn't make top 15 at Olympia, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 2007, I prepared him for 3 shows for New York. He placed 3rd. He won Keystone
Good.
show, and then
yeah.
we did the Olympia, and he was top 5.
You won.
Phenomenal.
You look bananas like Keystone.
Yes, tremendous. The problem is what we talked before here. Unfortunately, at that time, 2007, I was suspended from the IBB.
Oh.
And then not just that I lost all my contracts and everything,
Yeah.
that I was not allowed to compete, but all the athletes were told that they cannot work with me.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so that's punch on the top. Yeah.
So, so what did you do, if you don't mind me asking, to stay afloat? Just live off your savings and stuff, or?
Yeah, I still had a gym, right?
Still
I had a gym, and then I still have my company, right, at that time. And so I was not really dependent anymore on bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But as you know, as you see me still, I'm still very passionate about it.
Incredibly
you
passionate.
can't take this away from me.
No.
When you mentioned to Ali, like, how did I know you? I knew you since I've seen you first. I know that you won every show as a junior. He was winning. The first show actually that you lost was the one I prepared you for. You won your division 2006 British.
I won the class.
You won the class.
I just
then you lost overall.
Yeah, but I don't talk about that.
That's one of I was also bummed because
Troy Brown won that.
Yeah,
Troy Brown.
You had a $10,000 incentive if you would win, that you would remember from KNS if you turned
yes.
pro.
Yeah,
And then you lost that one. It was like a bummer. But you won the next year.
You
It's like
qualified for every Olympia, didn't you, when you competed?
First 10 years, yeah. First
Yeah.
10 years. And I think that only Sean Ray is the other guy that maybe Vince Taylor.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if anybody else.
Yeah.
But you didn't compete in 2 of them, right? If I remember.
So 95 and 96, there was a trend to muscle mass, and it's like, okay. I didn't want to change my body. I was content with what I was presenting, but it was not enough. It would be like kind of classic physique, trying to completed the open
Yeah.
division. So on that note, I mean, now you mentioned, you see, when you came about and there was 212, first was 202,
202,
right? Yeah. You were already, your first show, I think you placed 7th, right, at the Europa show, right?
In the Open, Tampa.
With the 30 people.
Yeah.
Tampa, and you were beating like some good guys, Johnny Jackson and all this stuff, but you were still smaller going into, so there was development to be made.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So it's very light.
But then when this category is created, right, because you were untouchable, really untouchable, and probably you could compete for the next 10 years, even though the Derek Lansford would probably, be very competitive with you nowadays. But again, that's considering, okay, what if? I'm sure that you would bring the notch up when you know that you have a competition, right? But you were untouchable. And I wish I want to tell you that publicly, okay? But I want to. Do you think that when you were at your best, if you didn't have to strip down to 212, you could be Open Olympia champion?
I believe that.
Yeah. Okay.
And
because a lot of people said that, and I've seen some pictures, and I would like to see that happen.
In all humility,
which is good.
I lived that lifestyle day to day, and I was living a very restricted lifestyle when I was in the 212. You mentioned Derek, right?
Yeah.
We had a quick little conversation earlier in the room between myself and Neil. I haven't seen Neil, and Derek right now is probably one of the most impressive pros in the circuit, if not the impressive pro. To me, I've stood against the guy, very restricted. And then obviously there's debate right now about him going into the Open Class 212. I mean, if he was to cut down right now, he's going to be, all that impressive mass that he's worked so hard for is just going to disappear to make a 212 class. And that was my story.
Yeah.
Granted, I never was up to 260 like him. I stayed around about 235. But I also know, as well as these two guys, as part of my circle, know what I looked like when I was a restricted 212 guy.
Yeah.
When I took off the cap and I blew up to what I was, that mentality then shifted from me being a 212 to then thinking about the Open. And you cannot go into any show thinking you are going to place. That was my mentality, right? Because coming from winning 7 titles, then I had to believe. And the saying is, if you don't believe, then how is anybody else? So sure. I knew that once everything was in line and my body was just fucking firing on all cylinders, I was bringing something different and unique. There was no bloat. There was no kind of stereotypical look that is being put down right now. Plus, I was never going to be a mass monster, so I felt that I could put one foot into the world of more aesthetically pleasing for marketability. So in terms of, and politically, I was very squeaky clean too. So everything plays a part. But in terms of how the cards lay, I'm very content in life right now. I'm okay to answer your questions.
But this is that one question. Even a few times we discuss, like if you would compete at this year's Olympia, could you win, right? So at this year's Olympia, I would say you couldn't because you lost that drive, right?
Oh yeah.
So for sure, at your best, that would be a different story. I mean, and I tell you because I've seen you here. And no matter what, I know what it took before, and how it is now. When you start doing all the businesses, you have a family.
Absolutely.
There's no way that anybody's convinced me it's the same mentality because your priority has to shift. And if priorities shift, that means this is no longer priority. So, and for winning the title, you have to. But again, you were never even contested. You were so dominant. So I have to say this. In 212, your dominance was phenomenal. And you always presented crystal clear winner. I mean,
thank you, man.
Like Lee Haney back in the day, the second he turns to the audience, the show is over. You don't have to pose. You can walk.
That's
out.
a great comparison.
That is the honest to God truth. I just wish that the world saw you next to Phil Heath, because I have that argument I talked about yesterday as well. What Mr. Olympia stands for? What is Mr. Olympia?
Supposed to be the best, right?
Bodybuilder in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Best bodybuilder in the world.
Right.
212 is what? Bodybuilder category, not classic category. So if you have 2 divisions like they used to have, I don't know if you know this, back in Olympia days in the 70s, they had lightweight and heavyweight champion.
Height, right?
No, there was.
Oh, really? Of course it was. Yes. Yes.
There was a weight.
Of course it was.
6 times they competed. 4 times lightweight won, and only 2 times Arnold Schwarzenegger won.
Right.
So 4 out of 6 times lightweight won. So I said many times, if this is Mr. Olympia, best bodybuilder in the world, why didn't you then have them like Arnold in Pumping Iron and Franco compete for that title? I wish they. I spoke about this 10 times by now, even back in the day. What I'm saying now for this year, if it didn't happen before, unfortunately for you, 212 is Friday. Open division should be Saturday. Let them compete. Let the winner compete with the open division. I think if I'm Mr. Olympia and best bodybuilder in the world and feel heat, I should have no problem accepting the challenge from Flex Lewis.
You know what I wanted more than anything else? The photo. I've got one photo of at the very end. No, on stage where you kind of all the athletes go on at the very end, all the champions, and I've got one photo next to Phil doing the most muscular, and that's the only thing I have got. The question for me is,
would you be competitive?
Yeah. I just wanted that photo, and obviously if Phil is listening to this is not a disrespectful knock. This is more of something that I have fucking worked my ass off for. He is the best of the best in the world. I want to stand next to that to see what I can make improvements to, and also give me the motivation to be like, holy shit, I could actually do this if I went up into the open class. And where would I fare? I know
the whole world was waiting.
17 and 18 would have been really interesting to watch.
Yeah,
those 2 years especially, just because.
Me as a fan, I would love to see it. And
absolutely,
as a friend is another thing, but just as a fan, I would love that to happen. And also,
I think 16 would have been that would have been a tough year, right? You still grew a little bit in 17 and 18.
I think I refined.
Yeah, you had more muscle maturity, right?
Maturity.
You had a few things, minor changes, but they were substantial.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting to watch those 2 years, I think.
Also, Doug was working the production there too, so I would have ever be fucking dimmed when I came onto the stage.
Hold on. Okay, I'm going to say this publicly. Do you know that? Which I found out back in 1972 Olympia when Arnold was in Essen, Germany, competing against Sergio Oliva, right? Yeah. He had that exactly. I mean,
what?
When Arnold was going to turn up the lights, when Sergio they turned off the lights. And
I didn't know this.
I never did that, I promise.
Yeah.
For anybody who thinks I didn't do that. I might have made you a little green. I'm just
but the thing is, the world was waiting. Unfortunately, or fortunately, you retire, and we will never know. But many experts saw that potential you could have actually won Open Olympia.
I think
I'll tell you that.
I guess from this new perspective I have, and thank you very much for everybody who has commented and said this and made videos and comparisons and everything else. It will always be kind of kept alive, right? So that woulda, shoulda, coulda has been said by a few. Flex Wheeler, in the open, there's been Kevin, and now obviously me transitioning from the 212 up to the open class. That whole, or you should have seen what Flex looked like in the off season. Is kind of like this. It's a growing fucking storyline that keeps on getting bigger.
It's on that same line as you against Lee. Right.
Yeah,
so many people have said, wouldn't it have been fun, right, to see him against Lee Priest? I would have loved to have seen
I would have loved that too.
I think everybody would have.
Yeah, and obviously Lee was.
What was your best year ever, that you would say?
Good question. I would probably say 2018 because I was very there, consciously and present in the prep. I knew it was my last one, and I said this has got to be enjoyed, and I kind of sailed off on knowing that everybody who was there at that show all was supposed to have beat me by other experts. Flex's reign is coming to an end. There's, we mentioned Derek, he was the new up and comer. There was Kamal. There was who else was in the mix? Ascanani, Jose Raymond. Everybody was there, and also the first year that I won was also a big fuck yeah, because obviously I wasn't even mentioned.
212, right?
Yeah, 212.
Yeah.
I wasn't even mentioned. But anyway, this is not my podcast. This is yours. So
I'm still a fan of you, and I would like to ask you those things.
Absolutely.
Publicly, right?
Yeah, I
And the thing again, for you to understand, I competed forever and ever, and never won the Olympia to understand what it means. Defending it, being a 7-time champ, I can only imagine, because everybody's after you. You know how they say, the wolf on the bottom of the hill is not is hungrier than the one on the top. How did you keep your motivation, knowing that all these guys are coming after you, and then needing to improve?
I think for me it was rediscovering my why every year, and every year they kind of different theme. From the 1st to the 7th. And through that, it was really not an athlete that was my sole drive. It was, finding out Ali was pregnant, then having the baby, and then, again, there was the 50th year. There was every year I reinvented my way, but there was never I want to beat this guy because, he says he's going to be better than me. The second time that I won was solidification that it wasn't just a one-off. I think to call yourself the champ, you have to win and defend. It goes for me in all sports. So for me to win the first time, I done it. It was like, yes, I done it. But then I was already thinking about the second, because there was already people whispering, oh, you only won because so-and-so wasn't there, and so-and-so. So the second time, every fucker was there. There was Kevin English, who was missing the first year. There was David Henry. There was everybody who was doing in that era, and I wanted to kind of hit that sort of tick box. Yeah. But going back to yourself, and we're talking about now athletes that you prepared for. Push pause on this, Doug. I know that you have a call, a very important call. So I want to give you the respects of bouncing out right now.
Yeah.
And saying thank you, brother. I know that it's been a stretch.
I hate to do that.
We had a fire for all the people watching. We had a fire alarm that went off at the beginning of the podcast, which had to stall us back 15 minutes. So, Doug, thank you as always, my brother.
Of course.
I was going to tell Doug, shut up. You talk to me.
So, bro, I appreciate you, mate. I know you gotta. We'll circle back later.
All right. Okay.
Please be quiet on the way out.
Well, just because you asked me that first.
Yes.
95, 96, I didn't compete.
Yeah.
Why I didn't compete? As I said, I had no business trying to impress the judges with the size. I didn't want it.
Yeah.
And then when I finally did it, I competed 97, 98 anyway. I was still keeping my lines the way I wanted to look. It was still not enough. It's okay. 99, I said, okay, that's what you want. That's what I'm going to give you. So I blew up to 255.
Blew up?
Weight. Yeah, I blew up.
Huge.
Yeah, and I didn't like it. I mean, I started beating Nasser, Sonbaty, with Marcus Rule and all the stuff in these shows, but it was not me. I didn't identify with that physique. I hated it.
So you basically live in a gorilla suit, in a sense, where you would look at yourself and be like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I felt that same way too.
To please the judges, I got out of... You see, from very beginning, when I started bodybuilding, right, I visualized what I would like to look like.
Symmetry.
And 97, I saw that vision in the mirror, right? So that was it. That's what I wanted, right?
Yeah.
And I built it, and then I had to ruin it because, I was placing 10th. I was 3 times 10th at Olympia. That's the highest placing that I got.
Would you say that, due to your knowledge and your openness in giving advice, that you became subject to the increase in the monsters that were there that kind of caused a detriment to...
I'm guilty of it, yes.
You're guilty, yeah.
Yes, but again, it's muscle building contest. Of course, I would never, say, okay, bigger is better.
Yeah.
No, because for me, just like you said, you wanted to have that aesthetics. You are considered mass monster for your height, right? You were the most muscular pose that you said. If you were standing next to Phil Heath, most muscular.
Oh, for me, sorry.
Yeah, but Phil Heath, most muscular, is super competitive.
Incredible. Incredible.
And if you're competitive right next to him, that tells you enough, right? For me, big was not better. I idolized Frank Zane back in the day. That was Arnold was not one. I could idolize Arnold for many other things that he accomplished, but not for his physique. I mean, even today on Instagram, on the way here, You know, if you see his 1980 posing, he would be left, right, left, right, left, right. You know, so he would always hide his wide waist. I mean, he was master of presentation, right? But if you really dissect it, did you see any front lat spread poses of Arnold? We see 2 million pictures of Arnold. You don't
twisting
see
shots.
Yeah, it's always twisted shots, you know, and twisted shots. You don't see the really leg size also.
Yeah.
And, but he was master. I idolized Frank Zane, who was 180 pounds, and what I was saying, and maybe Ali, you're a woman, so I'm sure that you like aesthetics, and it's, you know, your husband is that way. Lila Brada,
Beautiful.
you know. He was second at Olympia, right?
Yeah.
He could have, Muhammad Maccabi beat Lee Haney back in the day, right? Danny Padilla, you know, so that's why I'm saying, why did you take away 212 champion chance to stand next to the Open champion?
I never could get that answer, personally. You know, and also, there's only so much shaking of the tree that you want to do before you become a nuisance, right? So I was like, okay, I guess this is how it falls, you know. But I wish I did kind of. There was 1 year that they were supposed to have happened. I believe it might have been 2018, right, or 2017, maybe it was actually, where I asked for it, and it was supposed to have happened, but Phil was caught up backstage, and you know, that was the only year that the Mr. Olympia didn't return back to stage when all the other athletes went back on, you know, with the bikini. Remember, they have that like group shot whenever the show was done. So I was really looking forward to that. It was kind of like a bit of a motivational thing going into that year's prep too, where I was like, oh, this is great. I can get that photo next to, you know, Phil. Obviously, his name was already half on the trophy at that point in time. But in terms of going full circle here, obviously you had Coliseum Gym, which was a massive, you know, part of kind of my story coming to the US. I had my ass kicked every day. I don't think people understand the severe mentality that you really had to have and endure, because you had athletes that came from all over the world that signed up for this style of training, and there was literally sick buckets all over the place where you used to have an initiation process to anybody that came to the gym too, if you don't mind me saying, where you would have somebody drink a shake, a big heavy shake, and you know, you would have your camera ready to, like, everybody had them pictures of throwing up out the back, projectile vomiting. Oh my gosh.
If you don't remember, I would ask for your name, and then I would put, you know, James Flex Lewis on the trash can.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd be like, I'm not going to throw up.
Yeah.
You fucking threw up.
Yeah.
And I loved like I said, the initiation process where somebody would come into town. I don't want to name names and throw people under the bus, but you've seen somebody, because go on the intro workout stuff. Yeah. We'd have the Vitago shakes. All of us would be drinking the shakes, and you've seen somebody who was, like I said, first day in the gym. You look at them and go, oh fuck, this guy's gonna fucking roll. And he had his camera ready, and you could see this fucking sadistic bastard ready, laughing, taking photos, trigger finger. I'm not lying, they're all on the message boards.
I wish I had saved.
And we had, I said, that's one thing I'm very grateful also to, is that you made me pause. I thought I looked like shit because I was around all these elite athletes. And you used to get into my mind a lot. Obviously, I don't know if that's something that comes from your dad, but you would really home in champion mentality. And as soon as I used to talk negative, you'd get fucking pissed. I remember before about how I don't have money or whatever it was, and you were quick down my throat. You know, we had a very unique relationship, and I've said this to Ali too.
No compromises, no excuses. That's why I tell you.
Yeah.
Because I lived the life that you did.
Yes.
So I've been in an even worse position, right? So I could identify with you and your position, but again, you know, zero in on the goal, and
it is a mentality.
You far surpass whatever I achieved. But I'm proud that I didn't bend left or right. Because if I look at you, like, oh yeah, what a nice kid, you know, let me comfort him. And no, you had to be a tough love, right?
It was very much tough love.
Yeah.
I had it from Neil as well, and with yourself. I mean, I don't know how many times you fucking yelled at me. Yeah, no. You have this guy who was in the magazines, and I would tell him, and then all of a sudden it's like, fucking yelling at me, and I don't get mad. How many times you probably see me get upset? But then you got this guy who's, I looked up to tremendously, yelling at me, telling me that my good wasn't good enough, but I needed that. And I think that the world is fucking soft these days. There's too many participation medals, and you wouldn't let me participate in the gym. You wouldn't let me get through any workout. If I had an injury, I remember, you're like, shut the fuck up. Like, you have no injury, suck it up. I remember I couldn't even, my back was so pumped up one time from leg day. He made me go back into the gym and train legs again that next day and this fucking day after that.
And you complain.
Yeah, complain. You couldn't complain. And then what happens is that becomes normality. You realize that you start hardening up. You want this? It's not fucking easy. Shut the fuck up. And as soon as I'd see other people having the same, that you realize then it's like, oh shit, I've started maturing here, because now I'm not getting that same conversation. It's now onto somebody else, and I'd sit back and go,
it's just right thing to do. Right thing to do. I mean, I experienced this, and you want to be at the top of the world. This is how you get there. There's no excuses or compromises. George St. Pierre was fighting somebody, and he hurt the groin. You remember, it says hit him in the groin, right?
Yeah, he's coach.
As soon as you come,
Winkle John.
Whatever it is, you can overcome it.
Yeah.
If you say yes, I can, or I can't, you're right. Both ways.
That's true.
So be the right thing you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people now see our relationship, and again, I don't want to. I think this is a fucking part to it, to be honest, Theo. I don't want to keep. I honestly want to keep talking, and I know that you have to do things, Miloš, and I really appreciate it. But I do want to say that you played a very big part in my early, I would say, coming to America, right? And you might have had the whole from previous people in the past saying this is how they do things in America or whatever else. Like, I came here and I didn't really know what to expect. I left all my creature comforts. I came here like yourself with just a pocket full of savings, and I was very blessed and very lucky to meet you in my first photo shoot. We kept in connection. You would message me on the message boards, because that was our only mode of transport of communication. And you invited me to come to the gym, obviously, and then I've obviously told about the story. I came up, and I soon realized when I went up to that gym that I had to be at this gym. Regardless, there was no ifs or buts. And, whether you know this or not, and I'm telling you now, I really appreciate it, because it really installed like fucking manhood in me, There was, like you said, that tough love, and I was able to prep in the gym around the best of the best. I was never kind of shunned away. You have, if we're talking at like MMA or boxing, you have pro time and then you have amateur time. There was no such thing. I was in the mix. You were like, come here, tomorrow we're training with Dennis James, Heiko Kalbach, Ahmed Schultz, fucking Chris Dim, all of us there. And we're all training all together, moving around from station to station, and it was just an incredible thing. I never thought moving to the gym I would get into that mix first, but I never felt like an outsider until I fucking started moaning. They were like, okay, you want to be kind of in the fucking cool kids club, then come on in. But you start fucking moaning, then fuck off, kind of thing. And
it was in the morning. That's the rule.
It was an incredible experience. And then going back to the Milos there, the Milos on the way home was a completely different guy. Which it was. I don't want to say Jekyll and Hyde, because that's kind of sounds bipolar, but genuinely the most caring. An incredible, great dad. I seen that the other tentative side. You were I have obviously memories of me coming home to you, and you were on the computer working. You had your glasses on, and your slippers and stuff like that. And I was like, "This is the guy that was fucking yelling at us earlier." And he was like, "Hey, how are you? How was your day? How are you feeling that pump? Tell me." You know, and I would. It was just a very unique and incredible relationship. You know, I was only in my early 20s, so you know, imagine now taking yourself back and living with a bodybuilder. You know,
I consider all that stuff. You see, you have the personal and professional side, obviously. So on the professional side, I have to position myself to be the best professional coach or a mentor, right?
Yeah.
On the personal, it's a different story. You're like my kid. You know, so
yeah, but you helped me tremendously. I remember us getting on the phone to Kerry K's, and you know, obviously. Supplement companies back then didn't pay.
Yeah.
So you spoke to Kerry personally, and you was like, "Hey, you gotta sign this kid. You gotta sign this kid." Kerry was a tremendous to me, but unfortunately at that time he sold the company. It was kind of a weirdly timed move, but you know, you've done such things as that for me to help.
I'll fight for you, of course, and I'll fight for other people because the right thing is right thing.
Yeah.
Again, you're such a prospect coming from UK, right? And they're giving you supplements. Come on, you need much more support than that. You know? So, on that note, like I said, because business-wise, trust me, my business partner didn't want to sign you at the time. He said, "We don't have a product. We don't have a company. Why would you say?" No. You're going to sign him right now. Right? So this is how it was.
Yeah.
Because we actually never even use you, you know, because you know, year later, by the time we came up, you know, it's already gone. But doing the right thing all the time, and that's what I see that you're doing. And,
appreciate it.
I really appreciate seeing what you've done with your family. Yeah, Ali, really, I don't know you that well, but I'm overwhelmed with the. You see, sometimes you just see people and sense their energy.
Yeah.
And there is nothing but overwhelmingly good energy coming from you.
Well, thank you.
I'm so grateful that you're taking care of my man.
Yes, of course.
Well, it's gone full circle now where I get to see you now in the gym, you know, periodically throughout the week, sometimes every day, and obviously you've got a great relationship. We share a very similar passion outside of bodybuilding, which I want to talk about. And I remember, and I've said this before, you and I used to watch the old Avlovsky UFC, so this is not something that you know, there's a lot of casual UFC fans that pop up when there's a
they watch just because it's there. We watched every single one.
We watched all of them,
and we watched it 10 times over because first time you watch to see what happens, second time again say, okay, how did that happen? Then third and fourth time, you now really analyze. This is what he did.
Yeah,
right?
we'd watch it on. Was it VHS or was it
VHS,
DVD? You would watch all the UFC stuff back then together, and obviously, Milos as a martial arts early upbringing, and I obviously have mine too. And we would sit and watch this, and it was the most barbaric thing we could see without street fighting. And we'd watch these things, as you said, back to front, and kind of was like our thing to do. And now years later, you know, we're sitting at you know, UFC front fucking row, you and I, and you know, obviously
I have to say that of course, you know, Hunter Campbell,
unbelievable.
Right, really, one of the greatest guys that I've actually met.
Incredible.
Is my training partner, right?
Yeah.
He's the chief business officer of USC that makes it happen for me every single time. I mean, everybody in the bodybuilding community is jealous of me, and so sorry.
You know, we both know.
Something happens. But the mentality of Hunter Campbell, you know, you see on the gym floor. I'm going to tell you because you probably don't know. When he invited me, that was 1 year anniversary of your gym. When I came here, remember? And then from here, I was going to his office.
Yeah,
you know, that day, he invited me. I said, like, "Oh, I heard you in Vegas, and you know, let's talk." And I went there and said, "Okay, he would like me to train him." I said, "Okay." And he literally, I had the recording on my phone. He says, "I want you to literally kill me." Okay, so you know, this is how it started.
Yeah.
And so I went back into my old mindset, like, So okay, not to literally kill him, but bring him to the, you know, brink of death. Yeah, and that's how we started training, and it was all wonderful when I was just training him. But after 2 weeks, he goes, "Why don't you join me?" And now it's like that. Yeah, I can't handle this intensity. I mean, really, but I love it at the same time.
I love seeing it. It's a great relationship. Obviously, I had a relationship with Hunter through Arsenal Strength, and then when I seen you guys connecting, you came to the gym. You told me, and we were like, because you asked me, it's like, what do you think he wants to speak about? I go, I don't know.
Yeah.
And obviously my hopes were for you to connect in that sense, and now I get to see you guys at the gym, both you are my friends. Obviously I have two different relationships, but it's two worlds that have come together, and as I said, we all share that common love for UFC, and outside of bodybuilding, that is, and we speak if we was to talk, if people were to grab our phones, what are we talking about? Let's be honest. It's full.
Let's be honest. If they tell me choose, bodybuilding or UFC, see you later. it's not even a contest. I really truly enjoy. You see, I don't miss a single fight.
You don't.
I go.
You don't. You're not a casual.
From early preliminaries all the way to the main events, right? Every single one, and we analyze all that stuff. Yeah. It is really most entertaining sport.
Incredible.
It's really going to be number one sport in the world for sure.
Yeah.
And they're doing a great job promoting it.
Well, I know this is, what is it? It's coming up to 2:00.
Yeah, really? I'm so sorry.
And this is the issue in a good way, where we have so much to talk about. We could really start going in any direction, and we've not. I've looked at my phone, not because I'm seeing messages. I've got notes of making sure I stay on track and bring things up. And honestly, Milos, I would love to do a part 2 because we've not even scratched the surface on a lot of different things. Athletes wise, protocols. Because I asked a couple of people, friends of mine, that I was interviewing you. And they were like, can you ask him this question, this question? I've not even had a chance to, because for me to go from what we're talking about and completely go against the grain now, the podcast will prolong itself. So I'd love to have you back on at another time to...
Anytime, of course.
Yes. Thank you
guys
very
are
much.
like a family. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
privileged to be treated here like a family.
We love you, mate.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
We love you too.
And you started with the podcast. I'm going to have to rewatch all 8 of them. I've just seen the one.
Yeah, but what did you tell me earlier? You told me earlier that you have to watch me with fucking captions. It's because
I do. I mean,
fucking can't understand me. We're all fucked.
Yeah, listen. I mean, there's still moments when I say okay, and I have to ask a second time. So in this, I kid you not, I put the caption because I thought there is no way they're gonna catch it.
Yeah.
Because your accent, my accent. So I'm sure if somebody try to caption what I'm saying right now, it's going to be all kind of...
I've seen a couple of my captions done, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what is that? Because they obviously, my A's and my R's are pronounced so differently. And then these words that come up, it's like, what's the word? Unrecognizable. What's it say? Anyway, it pops up saying... unaudible or whatever. Yeah. So, anyways, we won't be the issue here because
I would love to come back. Of course, I don't want to bore you guys. I don't like to talk about myself. This is a kind of, but again, to revisit my childhood and all that stuff, it's maybe fun. Some people like to hear it.
I personally, with us on the podcast, we love to get into the mindset of everything, and because we have such a personal relationship, I think we've skipped over so much stuff that would be so beneficial to the viewers. Obviously, we've hit a lot of life's achievements. Your road to America. We all have our own story, but there's also things that I didn't know about. Such as you meeting them girls on the ship and coming over to San Diego and the first job, right? And that's incredible. And more than anything else, you've done this without speaking any English.
Yeah.
And you had to teach yourself. And I know stories that I don't want to kind of open up right now because, I know you got to get out of here. But I really want to talk about them on the next podcast. And I'd love to have you back.
I would love to come at any time, of course.
Milos, thank you very much,
man. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you. As we've already mentioned, you're such a a great face for the gym. You know, obviously we have our own connection, and I love to see you succeed. I love to see you every fucking week on UFC. You know, sitting behind there, I'm messaging you going, oh, I'm not here.
Or sitting right next to you.
Yeah, and we've got to you know, create new memories of the last year. Since I've moved here, and obviously you've been here too, and it's just exciting. The future is very bright. There's so many new endeavors that you're working on right now that I'd love to potentially talk about next time. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
thank you.
Well, that's Straight Outta The Lair, episode 9. And if you guys haven't seen all the previous episodes, check them out on YouTube and Spotify. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.